Dispenser going up. Well, I guess that'll do.
The Pomson 6000. Now, bear with me for a moment because I'm about to get meta. Over the course of many years, I have made a video about every engineer weapon in TF2, some of them multiple times. But there's always been one weapon that I very much intentionally avoided, and that is the gun that I'm going to talk about today. Usually, I make a video after I've collected enough footage while playing TF2 just normally that I can cobble together into something watchable. In other words, a video about a thing happens when I do that particular thing in-game enough times. And maybe it's not shocking to hear this, but I don't use the Pomson. This video will hopefully make it crystal clear why that is, but I'm basically just trying to say that in order for this video to even happen at all, I had to go out of my way to consciously stop having fun in TF2. So knowing that that was the requirement, I hope that you can understand why I procrastinated on making an elusive Pomson video. But while I procrastinated, that certainly didn't stop others from making their own videos about the Pomson. Many of them very good and very long and very detailed about every aspect of this gun. And I highly recommend that you go check those out if you're looking for a more in-depth breakdown of the Pomson's many complex and confusing stats, because this video is not going to go into those things. Instead, I thought I'd do something a little different here, and I give you guys a more personalized account of my experience using the Pomson for an extended period of time, forcing myself to endure its endless list of flaws for the sake of your entertainment. In other words, this is how it feels to use the Pomson 6000. Lazy purple. But first, here's a commercial. Raycon is the sponsor of this video. They make earbuds. You wear them, and guess what? You hear sound. And who better to experience that sound via earbuds than your mom? Mother's Day is coming up, and your mom has been sitting on the couch watching Facebook videos of AI Jesus at full volume on her iPhone 12, and I suggest that you consider getting her the Raycon Everyday Earbuds. What I love about these is how comfortable they are. There's no more adjusting them every few minutes or having to worry about them falling out. Whether I'm editing, walking around, or on the phone with my mom telling her that AI Jesus isn't real, they fit perfectly, and the sound is crystal clear. Plus, with 32 hours of battery life, I don't have to worry about them dying in the middle of the day, and even if I forget to charge them, just plugging them in for 10 minutes gets me 90 minutes of playtime. And this is pretty cool. I didn't know this was the thing. You can use multi-point connectivity to connect to two devices at once so that you don't have to bother with repairing every time you go from phone to PC and back again. Now, as you can see, the color options they got for these earbuds are super cool. I have the black ones with a Galaxy style case. Very nice, very classy if I do say so myself, but there's a bunch of cool options available, so no matter if you're getting them for yourself or as a gift for someone else, they're bound to have something good. So right now, if you go to buyraycon.com/Uncle Dane, you can get 20% off discounts on any Raycon products site-wide. That's right, 20% off site-wide. So go to that link, it's in the description and in the pinned comment, and thank you so much to Raycon for sponsoring this video. So, what is this gun even for? Because engineers' primary weapons are all shotguns, with the exception of the only utility unlock and the Rescue Ranger, of course, but every other one of the engineers' primaries are designed for close-range combat. We'll get more into the specifics of that later, but when it comes to the comparison between the Pomson and even the stock shotgun, the Pomson is just the weaker option at close range. So you'd assume that this gun was designed to be used at medium to long range instead, especially since it uses projectiles instead of bullets. So if you want to hit something at medium range, then I assume that this gun should theoretically be the best option. But the projectile travels around the same speed as a soldier's rocket does. This means that in order to hit a moving target at any range, you have to lead your shots appropriately. I mean, there's no issue there, right? Like, if you play soldier, then I guess it would be kind of like imagining that you're using a rocket launcher on NG, except you just have to land direct hits. And if you miss that direct hit even by 1 pixel, there's no splash damage to make up for it. And if you do manage to hit them, it does considerably less damage than a rocket would, and you can't use it to rocket jump or kill buildings or juggle people around. And to top it all off, the Pomson's projectile travels at a speed that is only slightly faster than the speed of a rocket, so your muscle memory on leading rockets will not transfer over to the Pomson at all. So, in other words, this gun is like using a rocket launcher, if it was also the worst rocket launcher ever designed for a video game ever. So medium range is a bit tricky, but how about long range, right? Targets that are standing completely still should be pretty easy to hit. Or you could just hope that, I don't know, it hits someone by accident. Yeah, we're already in the territory of relying on Hail Marys to do something with this gun. Well, first off, the Pomson has some pretty terrible damage fall off, hitting for a pitiful 32 damage at any range longer than the 2-fort bridge. So what we're looking to achieve here is already kind of weak. I mean, 32 damage at long range is technically better than chipping someone for 2 damage across the map with a shotgun, but at least with a shotgun, you can actually hit them for anything. Why are you trying to kill someone on the other side of the map as engineer exactly? I don't know. Snipers, they usually stand still and post up at long range. How about we try and aim for them then? Oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Stand in the sniper sightline and try to do 32 damage to them while they can hit you for 150 in less than a second. That is quite possibly the highest risk exchange for the lowest reward that you can attempt on engineer. Good job. So I guess when it comes to long range use, we're relegated to just spamming it into chokes and hoping that it hits something. I mean, it's better than nothing, right? Well, if spamming the worst rocket launcher in existence down a choke doesn't sound pointless enough, did you know that the Pomson's laser can actually be blocked by your own teammates? Yes, and you may already know, there is a mechanic in this game for projectile-based weapons, like rocket launchers for example, where the rocket will collide with teammates. This is an intended functionality of the game. It's there to cut down on massive amounts of rocket spam being fired through crowded choke points, but there is also an exemption from that collision for a short distance after firing, and this is to prevent soldiers from just blowing themselves up on random teammates that suddenly walk in front of them. This is a good balance decision until you realize that the Pomson's projectile is always blocked by teammates no matter what. The collision exemption for a short distance after firing does not apply to the Pomson, and this is only because it originally used to be able to penetrate all players even after hitting an enemy. However, it was so quickly and lazily changed that they forgot to make sure that it should at least have the projectile attribute of being able to still pass through teammates for the first 128 hammer units of flight. So, for many, many years, using the Pomson in any situation, but especially firing it down chokes to try and hit anything, is fraught with constant frustration. Like, move! Get out of the way. I'm trying to do 32 damage to their sniper. So hitting things at long range is a crapshoot. It's frustrating, and it's ultimately not worth it at all. What about using the Pomson at close to medium range then? Well, if we decide to ignore the fact that the most this thing can do at point blank range is 72, and that we'd be better off using literally any of the engineer's much better shotguns, and I don't know, we just decide that we want to use it because it's a free country and you're allowed to use a bad weapon if you feel like it, the gun is still borderline impossible to aim. You can most easily kill things with the Pomson at literally point blank range because the damage ramp up is obviously highest there, but also you just don't have to take into account the projectile speed. You can just use it like it's the stock shotgun at point blank range, if the stock shotgun did like 20 less damage for no reason. Anything past sniffing range of your enemy though, the most elusive enemies in the game will present themselves to you when you have the Pomson equipped. Doesn't matter, they can be walking in a straight line, not even paying attention to you at all, and you won't be able to hit them a single time. They can be attacking someone else completely, and no matter what you do, you will never be able to kill them. Well, maybe not never. You just gotta bank on your opponent randomly lagging out in the middle of the fight so that they stand still, or they gotta walk in a straight line at you and practically just give you the kill for free. I have so many clips of me missing every single shot on players that are practically doing nothing except moving unpredictably, which is something that most sentient players are going to be doing, whether it be on purpose or on accident. Here's one where I miss every single shot on a spy disguised as a demo man who is basically just spectating our team. He doesn't even try and attack anybody. This kind of player is the freest kill in all of TF2, and I did 0 damage to him. Absolutely devastating.
Come on!
Here's one where I actually managed to hit a couple shots on a soldier that does not see me and is standing completely still, thankfully, but the moment that he starts moving around, it's just impossible, just completely pointless to even try, and I end up just abandoning the Pomson and just punch him in the face because whatever, this game fucking sucks. Here's one where I'm being pushed by this pyro. Absolutely a fight. I should be able to at least hold my own in when equipped with any other shotgun. But we've got the Pomson today because I'm making a video about the Pomson, so the pyro is just going to be able to completely bully me because he knows that I can't do anything. I'm just totally useless. In fact, the Pomson is just about as much of a signal to players that you're a helpless engineer with no ability to defend themselves as the rescue ranger is. Most people see the Pomson and automatically know that you're going to end up doing like 50 damage to them at most if you get lucky, so they don't even have to try that hard to kill you. Here's a clip where I missed all my shots on a scout, but I hit someone? I have no idea who that was, but hey, a kill's a kill. I'll take what I can get, even if it's by complete fucking accident. Actually, most kills with this gun feel like they're just accidents, even the ones where you tried your best to predict the enemy. Like, yeah, I killed that guy by leading all 3 of my shots, but it really just feels like I happened to guess correctly. Predicting player movement is hard, and it's supposed to take skill, but the Pomson just adds this entirely new layer of having to predict these things like 2 full seconds in advance, and by the time you've realized you've even missed, you're just dead, because everyone else has functioning weapons, and you have this thing. And if this thing wasn't punishing enough, when you do miss, you're met with what I think is one of the most pointless attributes that the Pomson has, a low clip size. A stat that is not even listed in-game, by the way, making it so that you only have 4 shots instead of 6. So in fights where you can just dodge appropriately, or your opponent is missing 2, you're just gonna spend half your time reloading. Oh boy, better reload after missing this shot, the next one will hit for sure. Oh, and speaking of unlisted stats, it fires slower than the shotgun as well. It's almost comical how bad this weapon is, but believe it or not, I've only scratched the surface on how pointless and frustrating everything about the Pomson actually is. Let's play a game real quick. Pause the video. Where do you think the projectile will go? A, where my crosshair is, or B, somewhere else? Vote on your phones now. So the answer was B. It got sent straight into the side of the cliff instead of where my crosshair was when I fired it. How about this one? A or B? If you guess B straight into the windowsill, you are correct. Last one. Will the projectile go down the Dust Bowl corridor and possibly hit that demo man back there? Or B, will I inexplicably shoot the floor? It's B. The answer is always B because the gun is fucking terrible in every way possible. For some reason, the laser actually fires from a point just underneath the crosshair, and I cannot be fucked to figure out a way to customize my crosshair to be more accurate to the goddamn Pomson of all things. So let's just add that to the list of bullshit and move on. Actually, let's just talk about the most interesting thing about this gun, its ability to delete a percentage of Uber charge meter from medics and cloak meter from spies. There are 2 other positive attributes that this gun has, but both of them basically do not matter. Why would an engineer ever need infinite ammo? And pyro not being able to reflect the lasers, it's whatever. But regarding the other stuff, the ability drain mechanic is debatably kind of shitty design from a gameplay perspective. I personally don't think being able to remove medics Uber or spies cloak should even be a thing in this game. It shouldn't be possible. It's not a very fun idea in my opinion. And I'm willing to bet that the only reason nobody really complains about it is because the Pomson users are pretty rare out there, and the Uber and cloak drain is kind of difficult to pull off in a meaningful way anyway. So like, let's just start with the spy cloak drain, right? It feels pointless because a spy you're hitting with this gun is probably close enough to you to where you'd be better off shooting him with a shotgun instead, and there's no better way to drain cloak than to just kill him. The only Invisawatch unlock that could possibly be impacted by the Pomson is the Dead Ringer, since you can prevent them from using it, but if they have the Dead Ringer out when you hit them, it drains the cloak after they feign, so they could just use it anyway. The only thing that it does is it just makes their decloak like a little shorter, like a couple seconds shorter, like who cares? So you have to hit them with the Pomson before they take the Dead Ringer out, which I don't know, Dead Ringer spies aren't even that hard to fight. I'd go so far as to even say that they're easier to counter than other Invisawatches because you can effectively control when they go invisible, which makes them much more predictable. It's not that important to have a Dead Ringer suppressant when the existing suppressant is to have a functioning brain. In the many agonizing weeks that I used the Pomson to get footage for this video, I managed to get one clip where I definitely affected a Dead Ringer spy's ability to feign death, and here it is.
Well, I guess that works.
Amazing.
So let's move on to the Uber drain, which feels like it makes a little more sense to me than the cloak stuff because Ubers are the #1 counter to Engie nests, and medics are usually pretty far away from the engineers, so having some kind of long-range way to delay that counter feels like it was actually thought about in some kind of way. But it turns out, it doesn't really matter at all. We already went over how spamming the Pomson down chokes trying to hit stuff at long range is basically just gambling, so hitting a medic with it is essentially just down to luck. And even if you do manage to hit a a medic with it, they lose at most 10% of their uber, and that's at close range. Yes, this draining mechanic has fall off, meaning the further away that you are from the medic, the less uber you're going to drain from them. But here's the thing, say you're at like medium range, and that means you're draining an average of like 5% uber per shot that you hit. That means that if, miraculously, you hit a medic twice with the Pomson, it will take them a whopping 4 seconds to get that uber back. Who cares? So here's the real strategy that actually might come into play. Try and predict when the enemy medic is about to pop their uber. They have 100%. They're about to pop uber, right? They're about to jump in and destroy all your stuff with an uber. Then you jump out and land a Pomson shot on them before they do, preventing them from using it. Oh yes, that would be so good. I had many moments where I saw a medic and thought, oh boy, I have the ability to drain their uber, and then I risk it all to prevent them from using it on my team. But then
a few moments.
They just wait a few more seconds and they pop it anyway. Cool. Once again, I have one clip out of hundreds where I actually managed to time my shot on a medic that was about to use Uber and successfully prevented them from doing it, which effectively drops them. Watch this.
Amazing.
But wait, Uncle Dane, there are mediguns that can damage the medic during the Uber, meaning that you should be able to drain the Uber during the Uber, effectively shortening the Uber. You don't have to rely on timing it perfectly against those medics. You can just shoot them.
No, it doesn't work. It should work this way, you're right. But it doesn't. It only kind of technically works this way against the Vaccinator because that medigun still retains chunks of unused Uber during its Uber charge, but the Vaccinator also gets that charge back so incredibly fast that it basically doesn't matter. You still can't shorten an ongoing Uber in a way that makes intuitive sense because, you know, it's the Pomson, the worst gun ever made. Every time I use the Pomson, I'm just constantly in a state of unlock envy. I think to myself, oh man, that guy had a shotgun. I wish I had a shotgun. And in any normal situation, I literally would just switch to the shotgun, but no, I'm making a video. Oh man, you know what would be really good right about now? The Frontier Justice. I could have 6 revenge crits. I could be getting 6 more kills right now. Oh well, oh no, my sentry is getting attacked, but I'm in the perfect position to escape with it using the Rescue Ranger. Too bad I'm using a paperweight instead. Oh well, can't win them all. In fact, if I was using the Rescue Ranger right now, I'd actually be able to do damage to people and get more kills. Yeah, that's right, I decided to try and see if I could be more effective just shooting people with the Rescue Ranger. You know, a gun that is straight up not designed for shooting people, and big surprise, even doing that was better than using the Pomson. Here's a clip where I'm just babysitting my buildings because I can't really do anything with the Pomson anyway, and I really embarrassingly fall off of a cliff. That was probably the Pomson's fault somehow. And I figured, you know, fuck it. Might as well just switch to the Frontier Justice for one life so I can actually have fun and do something. And guess what? I finally was able to have fun and do something. All it took was for me to stop using the Pomson. So the only thing this gun is maybe kind of good at is taking advantage of crits, random or otherwise. Because crits disregard damage fall off, in addition to doing 3 times more damage, this can be one of the only ways that an engineer can do massive bursts of damage at medium-long ranges.
Oh my god!
I was not even aiming at that guy.
No, you just so happen to fucking murder him.
So when you do randomly roll a crit that happens to hit someone, you're doing 180, which one-shots most of the classes in TF2. I'm only bringing this up because if I don't, the ironic Pomson-loving crowd will flood the comments, but really, realistically, who cares? Random crits are never a good argument to bring up when talking about balance, and if you want to use the crit streak on an engineer, the Widowmaker is right there. The only kind of funny thing about Pomson crits is that despite every other projectile and bullet in the game having a clear indication as to whether it's a crit or not, the Pomson's projectile looks exactly the same, crit or no crit, no matter if it's about to hit you for 32 damage or 180 damage. So it just confuses people, which is kind of funny. You know, most of the time they don't even see it coming or they get insta-fried by what was practically a phantom. So that's just one more thing to add to the list of bullshit, I guess. The Pomson is just a frustrating gun in so many different ways, not only just the major complaints that I've brought up in this video, but in tiny subtle ways, like that the sound effect for firing it is just slightly delayed in the most unsatisfying way that makes you feel like you're just shooting the equivalent of Bullet Bill from the end of your gun. Or, I don't know, maybe it's like the kickback animation that's delayed. I have no idea what exactly causes it, but the gun just feels sluggish. In a game that's otherwise full of snappy, satisfying gunplay, the Pomson just sticks out like a sore thumb. Also, the thing is just so fucking ugly. Like, I think it's the worst looking gun in TF2 by far. I mean, that's just my opinion, but it doesn't even look like a gun. It just looks like an amalgamation of pipes and buttons, vaguely shaped into the approximate outline of a gun. I'm sorry, Weta Workshop. Great job on making all that orc armor, but y'all did a better job on modeling the cave troll's peanuts.
I described it to the guys as if it's this bizarre sphincter.
But the most frustrating thing about the Pomson, to me, is just that it ruins the nearly perfect lineup that the engineer has in his unlock arsenal. Every other weapon that the engineer has access to is useful, well-balanced, and even in a few cases, pretty OP. The Pomson is the disgusting stain on an otherwise solid list of options, and when I think about balance in TF2 as a whole, the engineer feels like he's the most well-off out of all the classes in terms of every one of his weapons feeling like they have a designated and effective use. But the Pomson is the asterisk on that claim, and it's just really frustrating. Alright, so what should Valve do to fix the Pomson? Well, I can pretty confidently reveal to you guys what they're going to do. Here's a picture of what that is. So you're looking at a picture of nothing. Valve has not made an official balance change to any of the unlocks beyond minor bug fixes in over 7 years at the time of making this video, and I do not expect that they will be ending that streak. The time of balance updates to TF2 is very likely over, and with it comes the end to my motivation to discuss what kind of things I'd personally like to see changed about unlocks like the Pomson, at least in a serious, non-hypothetical manner. So if you wanted to get hypothetical, like if we lived in a universe where Valve still made balance changes to TF2 in 2025, I guess I would just hope that they completely rework the entire functionality of this gun. They could make the projectile speed at least match the speed of the Rescue Ranger's projectile so that there's some kind of overlap in muscle memory there, make it do more damage at close and medium ranges so it can compete with the other shotguns, and, you know, just get rid of all the horrible bugs and quirks that make the thing such a slog to use. It's a lot to ask, I know, even from a version of Valve straight out of the multiverse, but it's also just never going to happen. I hope that being really confident about this will backfire on me like it has in the past, but yeah, it looks like we're stuck with this piece of shit forever. So I'm sorry that this video is ending on such a depressing note, but it seems like, I don't know, that would be fitting for the Pomson review, that we come away from this experience a little more depressed. I certainly didn't enjoy myself very much when recording the footage for this video, but I did enjoy making it, you know, editing it and putting it together. So the good news, at least, is that you can expect more videos from me very soon. I appreciate you watching this one, and I will talk to you nieces and nephews next time. Bye-bye.